Good. Good evening. My name is Susan Stevenson, and I am the chair of the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation for the Village of Southampton, New York. I'm calling this meeting on February 10th to order. Do I have a motion to open?
I make a motion that we open this meeting of the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation on February 10th.
Second?
Aye.
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 Before we begin, I'd like to make it clear that everyone should speak with civility in this meeting. If you're presenting materials, please put them up on the table facing the board so our videographer can pick it up. Now I'd like to introduce the board for tonight. To my left, Rob Coburn and Sarah Latham, and to my right, Jeff Broadleaf. Mr. Highsmith is ill. Our counsel, Alice Cooley, is here. Our recording secretary is Jolie Sanchez, and our videographer is Charlie Styler. Let's begin. We're going to dispense with the approval of the minutes until next time. So the next is Driveway Gates Historic, Scott Klansky, 57 Pond Lane, construct driveway gates. State your names, please.
Joe Roberto.
Paolo Chuya. Is that good?
So this property is, as you know, behind the museum of what the village is doing in the front. This is kind of like a flag lot in the back. There's 100 and, how many feet?
50 feet.
150 feet from Pond Lane to this gate. Actually goes up a hill and then it drops down. You can't even see the gate from the street. You couldn't even see the top pickets.
I would say even if you could see the gate, I think it's a nice gate.
Are there those lights?
Yes, they're
lights?
regular standard lights, 25-watt bulbs.
Okay.
That's it, just two of them.
And it's, by the way, it's a long ways, it's still a long ways from the house, so
is.
the light is actually
Yes.
functional. I think it's
No,
important.
if you're way in the back
Yes.
there, it's fine.
And mostly, I think he really wanted the gates because if the museum ever does come up, with the cars coming up, I think he's going to have, some people driving up that driveway.
Right. I gotcha.
I didn't have any problem with these.
I don't have any problem.
No, given the distance from the road, it's not
Okay,
an
this,
issue.
we have to submit this for a written decision. We have a motion to...
Is any public comment on it?
No, we only
Okay.
just heard it.
I'll make a motion that we close this application for written decision by council.
I second the motion.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good luck.
Next, 300 Murray Place LLC, construct two-story single-family dwelling with detached garage and accessory pool house.
Joe Roberto,
Dean Gamalka, sorry.
you saw all this already, but just to refresh your memory,
Right, we left this application open to allow the public
Yep.
to view plans that came in a little late for our deadline. I have no objection to it. Does anyone have anything to say? We already talked about it
yes,
the last
right.
time.
Thank you for
Thank
coming
you.
back.
Is there
Thank you.
anyone who has anything to say from the audience? Motion to approve the application, 300 Murray Place LLC.
So moved.
Second?
Second? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you for coming back.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you
for
very
coming
much.
back,
Thank
but
you,
it was the
thank
right
you.
thing to do.
No, I agree.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Next, James Bracken, 20 Downs Path, construct accessory garage.
Okay. Hi,
Your name?
James Bracken.
And do you have affidavits for us?
I do.
We need those before we can open a hearing.
Okay, sorry, this is my first one.
Okay. This application is also before the Zoning Board of Appeals, is that correct?
I think we've got through the zoning board.
That's not true.
No. The zoning board, I guess, I'll go up with him, I'm his wife. The zoning board, said they hadn't have an issue with it, and then they didn't meet last month because somebody called in
Was
sick.
sick.
So that was when they were meant to read it. So they
Well,
didn't
we
get
were
a chance
informed they
to read
improved
it, but we were informed they had no issues with it.
But
Has the
until there's an
decision been
actual
granted?
decision,
So you're not going to have a zoning board determination until the meeting on 2/27.
Because can we at least present it?
Yes, absolutely.
it's
But
fine
we
if you
cannot
do
vote
that.
on it
Okay, that's
because
okay, because then
it's just improper.
your next meeting is then like right after that, right?
Yeah, that's
Right.
the March
And
9th
if
meeting.
we've already heard this, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
All right,
so
cool.
that'll
It
be
was
better.
just like,
Works, so you don't need to wait for a written decision.
So
So
go
perfect,
ahead.
thank you.
So, great.
if you could turn those around to face us.
Oh, sorry.
Because the video.
So
camera-
we have an application to build a two-car garage on the north side of the property. It's a corner lot on Flying Point and Downs Path with a driveway from Flying Point. We have some pictures and some diagrams around the property.
Because you have two front yards, is that correct?
We have two front yards.
Okay.
I took a look at this file, and I didn't have any problem with it. It's set fairly far back from both roads.
Right, the
It's-
neighbor, has written, and
Okay.
it's not in the file, but
It's
I read it.
behind the house from the Downs Path side, and so it doesn't sort of compete with the house, and it's the same materials.
Could you just lay out the plan?
This one?
The lot plan, yeah. Because I looked at it and I
Sure.
wasn't sure.
Confusing.
I thought it was towards the front of the house.
So this is Flying,
You have to turn it toward, is it,
that way?
I can't tell, you
Yes.
tell us,
I'd like to
yes.
see it, I'd like to see the whole
lot,
house.
the-
I'd
Yeah,
like
we
to
This
see-
is Flying
Yeah,
Point?
no.
We
What I'd
can't
like to see,
see-
Jim or James,
James, yeah.
is
We have it
the
here.
whole, all the buildings on the property.
Is that
Okay.
in your file?
And the full property.
It may very well be, I'm just asking to see it now. I mean, I did look at the
We'll
file.
provide it if you don't have it.
It's tiny. Is this it?
So it's a 1.6 acre lot. We have Flying Point and, thank you.
So, okay.
There we go.
It's
And
back.
I believe our neighbor wrote a letter in support.
Right, I'm just,
Okay.
help me out here. I'm-
Yeah.
All right,
need to
so
keep it in
this
order.
is Flying Point. That goes from all the way up to County Road. And Downs Path Drive Road
Right.
cuts off there, up
Where
to
you-
the side.
Just for the record, the video record, as you were just tracing on Downs Path is heading west, correct? More or less.
That goes,
That's going north? Oh, no, there's
north.
north. Okay, but that's going up
This
to the
is-
highway.
that's the highway here, and it drives down to,
And the other way is, yeah, west.
I think it's west, although that's indicating south, but, okay, so
this is the north.
the highway's at the top of the
Right.
frame.
highways.
It's where my finger is.
Yes, correct, okay. Yep, okay,
And then Downs Path runs up here, down to Wickerpogue.
yep.
So one of your neighbors was concerned, that's why.
So we have one neighbor, the neighbor over here
That's what I couldn't figure out. Okay.
wrote a letter just saying,
80 Downs Path, is it?
no, whatever that address.
That, isn't it down here?
Yeah, there was a neighbor who wrote a letter.
I think the
in
neighbor
support
is-
On Flying Point.
On-
167 Flying Point Road.
And what did they wrote a notice in support.
No.
He wrote a letter not objecting, but he asked the zoning board for some screening. He asked this board for the same relief as a condition of approval, but we think it's more appropriate for the zoning board to impose that since it's related to your variance request.
Okay.
So that's part of the reason.
So if
Okay.
you don't, again, just for the video record here, if you could just go back to the survey and point out the main house and the location of the garage.
Okay, so this is the Flying Point driveway garage,
Yes, thank you.
house, pool, Flying Point.
So you already had a garage that you're incorporating?
That we had a garage that was built into the house here.
Uh-huh.
That was on the south side of the property.
And you're,
We're moving that to effectively to put it here.
So basically, what's happening, not what's happening, this has been changed into a family room.
okay, that's what I wanted to
Okay,
say.
and
Otherwise you're gonna say-
we are grassing all of this
Uh-huh.
to create a real backyard here. So this driveway here is going away. But that's, what's before you guys now is this garage, but this has already been approved. We didn't add any square footage to the house, we
Okay.
just
I just wanted to
converted the
make
garage
sure.
to a family
You
room.
weren't You weren't just getting another garage, which would be suspicious.
It feels to me like,
Not
there's,
using it for cars.
No.
feels to me like there's a lot of setback on the sides of this property. And the only concern would be really a zoning board concern, which is that distance of the garage to the back lot and any concerns of the neighbor facing
Right.
that side.
Because we're 80-foot setbacks, you're right.
Okay, so let's discuss the design, which is our purview. How's that?
Sure.
Thank you.
So that's this chart? you want to
Yes.
look at?
Yes,
Yeah.
I hope.
So the upper left there, which is the two garage doors, that faces away from Downs Path, correct?
Correct, that just faces to the hedges.
And it looks like there's some grading that goes on around so that the building actually appears sort of shorter from the Downs Path direction?
So what we thought would be best for all parties was to have the garage as low as possible. So there's you can see on the gradients the runoff of the property. We've got the gradients marked. So our thought was to sink the garage by about 2 to 3 feet, so that the height is as reduced as possible.
What is the height of the garage?
I think the height from is 16 feet.
Right, okay, good. So it's
But when it sinks down, it'll be effectively 13 feet about
13,
above the...
Okay, that's very nice.
And you're using some windows from the existing house. In your renovation of the existing house, you've saved some windows.
That's right, we'll use the same type of windows, the same
Same
type,
marvin, we are reusing.
same
We're using-
shingle, same roof, same garages, all the same things.
We're
that
using
we-
the garage doors also
Yeah.
that are
On
currently
the
there.
top of each of those eaves, are those windows going in there for a little light up top? Or is that a paneling detail, a trim
I
detail?
think it was a paneling detail.
So it's
Match
not
the
a...
house.
We have some little windows, but yeah,
No, that's not a window.
not-
Those are paneling details that match the
paneling
house.
details.
All right, so I think it looks perfectly nice. We just can't act on it, so
Sure.
it's unfortunate, but there was a medical emergency at the time that other meeting was
That's okay,
canceled.
we understand.
So,
So we'll just present it again when we get the ZBA.
you don't have to,
Do we need to?
yes.
Yes.
Do they need to come back?
Yes.
Yes.
Someone needs to.
Or someone
come
needs
back.
Well, we live here all year round, so it's no problem,
okay.
so we can do that.
Or one person can come, but we will already have discussed it, so
Okay.
we're not going to go into some big,
Perfect.
okay? So thank you for coming.
All
I'm
right,
sorry
thank
about the
you.
delay.
Thank you.
No probs.
Great,
Thank you very
so,
much. This goes
motion to
back.
adjourn the application of James Bracken, 20 Downs Path, until,
March 9th.
and who's asking for it? They are?
Would
you
be
ask
great
for
if you
a-
could
an
ask
You can
adjournment?
ask for it, sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Motion to approve the applicant's request for it.
All right, thanks.
Thank
And when
you.
is that meeting?
March 9th.
March 9th.
March 9th.
So moved.
Okay,
Okay, that's perfect.
great.
So
We'll
moved.
see
Thank
you
you.
then. Thank you. Stay dry.
Aye.
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 Okay, next. Everyone has,
You can say
Oh.
goodbye.
next, we don't have to say, BLC Hillside Investment LLC, there's a letter in the file. This is Public Hearings Historic for 132 South Main Street. Reconstruct pool house and move and modify existing barn. I believe that they had pulled the pool house, hadn't they?
They
That's what I thought,
haven't
yeah.
submitted any new plans to us.
No, but
though,
they,
yet.
they said they would reapply for the pool house?
Yes,
Yeah,
because
so
it was
this isn't
denied by the zoning
correct.
board.
So it's really to move and modify the existing barn.
I think so, yeah.
And they're asking, there's a letter asking for an adjournment to
24th.
the 24th of
So
February.
I will make a motion that we accept the applicant's request to adjourn the hearing for BLC Hillside Investments at 132 South Main Street until the 24th of February.
A second.
Aye.
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 Okay. Pool house is not part of the application, right? We have to get that straightened out.
To remove the pool house.
Well, they pulled it in those first meetings, and then it just doesn't show up out of nowhere, does it?
I assume that will be in any revised plans that they submit to. I assume they're going to submit some revised plans, and it will show a different site plan with that removed, if they're
Okay.
removing it.
All right, so the last thing we need to do is, this is a resolution that we discussed last time about a deadline for material to be put into the files to the public, and the board has time to review the information. Do I need to read it?
No.
So,
The essence of it is that materials should be in by 12 PM, meaning noon on the Thursday before the meeting.
Right.
That's the essence of it.
so,
That's it.
application, so, do I have a motion to approve the resolution for adopting a submittal deadline?
I make a motion that we approve the resolution adopting a submittal deadline of Thursday, the noon prior to our meetings.
Second.
Aye.
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 Aye, the ayes have it. Great. With that, I believe, do I have a motion to close?
I have 15 seconds.
Okay,
I'm
go
gonna take
ahead.
15 seconds.
That's it.
We discussed at a couple of our last meetings, including our last meeting, what seems to be a desire to at least revisit the historic district or landmark properties. I just wanted to report that I think, as this board knows, Zach Studenroth has provided a timeline of the various surveys of historic assets or potentially historic assets in the village of Southampton with some recommendations. And I just hope it's something that we continue to discuss and maybe come to some conclusions on, perhaps in the form of recommendation either back to the trustees or a request to the Planning Commission to consider certain avenues forward with respect to historic protections.
Sounds good. Good
Great,
stuff.
and I've been in
Glad
touch
you're
with
doing
him.
that. Good.
Is that everyone is aware of this process? And
Yeah.
And at some point, we will need and want public input on this, and there's a lot of different options everywhere, from us creating some procedures on the small side to us or others requesting that the board amend the code. And obviously, those take different periods of
The
time.
Board of Trustees amended,
Yeah, the Board of Trustees amend the code, yeah.
just so we're,
So I just want to I just wanted to put it on the record that it's still an active discussion, and there does seem to be, it seems to be a good time to at least review these issues and see whether there's an appetite for some either closing of loopholes or expansion of protections for historic assets.
Great.
And there is momentum, and
Good.
there are avenues to follow.
Yes.
did you
good.
get that, the resolution, the signed one, that I voted on?
Oh, I didn't, is it in here? No.
I don't know. It's in-
I did not, there it is, okay.
So is there
Okay.
any way to, just put it in the front then?
I'll put it in front of the desk.
Sorry.
So now I will make a motion that at 7:17 or 7:18, we close this hearing of the Board of Architecture Review and Historic Preservation on February 10th, 2020.
I second the motion.
Aye.
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 Great, well done.